Shooter Breeze topic number 3 says, is this pseudoscience or science? This came, of course, with a link. We'll watch it and then we'll discuss it.
Weight gain is the result of hormonal imbalance in the body. It is not about the calories, as you probably believe. If it is a hormonal problem, then which hormone causes us to gain weight? The answer is insulin. Here's a simple test to prove that insulin causes weight gain. If you take a person and cut out 80% of his daily calories and inject him with insulin, he would gain weight, despite the 80% reduction in caloric intake. High levels of insulin over a long period of time is the main reason we gain weight. To lose weight, you need to lower your insulin level. And how do you do that? You need to change 2 things. Number 1, when you eat. Number 2, what you eat. Before explaining each of these 2 points, I would like to mention that all the information you are about to hear in this video is the summary of lessons I learned in a book called The Obesity Code: Unlocking the Secrets of Weight Loss, written by Canadian doctor Jason Fung. Okay, let's start with the first point: when you eat. As already mentioned, weight gain is a hormonal problem. Hormones are chemical messengers that regulate many body systems and processes, such as hunger, fat storage, blood sugar levels, etc. We don't consciously control our body weight any more than we control our heart rates, basal metabolic rates, body temperatures, or breathing. They're all automatically regulated, and so is our weight. Hormones tell us we are hungry. Hormones tell us we are full. Hormones increase energy output, and the hormone that regulates our weight is insulin. Insulin is released every time you eat something. Some food and drinks, of course, spike insulin higher compared to others, but all food raises insulin levels. People with more weight release much higher insulin levels than those of normal weight. In lean people, insulin levels quickly return to normal after a meal, but in overweight people, these levels remain high. High levels of insulin over a long period of time eventually creates something called insulin resistance. To understand what insulin resistance is and how it develops, we have to understand the nature of the human body. The human body wants to stay in a state of balance. So if things change in one direction, the body reacts by changing in the opposite direction to return closer to its original state. For example, if you become cold, the body adapts by increasing body heat generation. If you become hot, the body sweats to try to cool itself. In simpler words, the body develops resistance. The same is the case with drugs. A person who takes cocaine for the first time experiences a high state. But the next time he takes the same quantity of drug, he doesn't experience the same sensation, and he has to increase the dosages every single time to experience the same high. Why is that? It's because the body develops resistance. Similarly, when our body gets more insulin, it develops resistance, and to reach the same energy levels, our body asks for more insulin. It is a vicious circle that keeps on repeating. Hence, insulin causes insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is the hidden culprit behind weight gain, diabetes, fatty liver, heart disease, cancer, etc. In the past, your grandparents didn't eat snacks. They used to eat 3 meals: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And their insulin level would spike 3 times, but then would go down during the time they didn't eat. So, the 12-hour feeding window would be compensated with a 12-hour fasting window. However, today we have something called snacks. We eat in the car, we eat in front of the TV, and we eat when we wait in line. Our insulin level now looks something like this. Not only insulin is spiked too many times during the day, plus those snacks are highly processed, which means the height of the spike is higher as well. So both the intensity and the interval of insulin spike has increased, which has created an ideal environment for developing insulin resistance. Okay, now that we understand how insulin works and how insulin resistance is developed, let's talk about the solution. All foods raise insulin regardless of how healthy the food is. That is why the only way for us to lower it is to completely avoid food. In other words, fast. Fasting is the process where the body starts to burn fat instead of glucose to generate energy. Fat is simply the body's stored food energy. In times of food scarcity, stored fat is naturally released to fill the void. The body does not burn muscle in an effort to feed itself until all the fat stores are used. Many people have a myth that fasting makes them lose muscle mass. The breakdown of muscle tissue happens only at extremely low levels of body fat. Fat is burned first. Saying that fasting burns muscle is like saying you have a huge amount of firewood stored in your house, but you chose to burn the sofa first. Fasting doesn't cause malnutrition since magnesium, calcium, and phosphorus levels during fasting are stable because of the large amounts of these minerals stored in the bones. Fasting can be scary for people who've never done it before. Here are some questions that always come up when it comes to fasting. Number 1, I get hungry when I fast. What can I do? This is probably the number 1 concern of fasters everywhere. The truth is that hunger comes in waves. People think that every coming hunger wave is stronger than the previous one, but it's not the case. If you're experiencing hunger, it will pass. Staying busy is often helpful. Number 2, what can I have on fasting days? Try to stay well hydrated throughout your fast. Aim to drink 2 liters of water daily. Be careful to break your fast gently. Overeating right after fasting may lead to stomach discomfort. Number 3, can I exercise while fasting? Absolutely. There's no reason to stop your exercise routine. Fasting is an ideal time to exercise. 4, will fasting make me tired? Many people find that they have more energy during a fast, probably because of increased adrenaline. If you experience excessive fatigue, you must stop fasting and seek medical advice immediately. Number 5, will fasting make me confused or forgetful? No, you shouldn't experience any decrease in memory or concentration. On the contrary, long-term fasting may actually help you improve your memory. Number 6, I get dizzy when I fast. What can I do? Be sure to drink plenty of fluids. Adding sea salt to water often helps. Number 7, I get muscle cramps. What can I do? Low magnesium levels may cause muscle cramps. You may take an over-the-counter magnesium supplement. Number 8, I get headaches when I fast. What can I do? Try increasing your salt intake. Headaches are quite common the first few times you try a fast. It's believed that they're caused by the transition from a relatively high salt diet to a very low salt intake on fasting days. Headaches are usually temporary. Number 9, my stomach is always growling. What can I do? Try drinking some mineral water. Number 10, since I've started fasting, I experience constipation. What can I do? Increasing your intake of fiber, fruits, and vegetables during non-fasting period may help. Number 11, I get heartburn. What can I do? Avoid taking large meals. Avoid lying down immediately after a meal and try to stay in an upright position for at least half an hour after a meal. Now, let's talk about the second point, what you eat. Here are 5 steps to make sure what you are eating is helping you in your weight loss journey. Step number 1, reduce the consumption of added sugars. The simple rule is this: if a food is packaged, it contains added sugar. For example, ketchup has more sugar than cola per 100 grams. You may also be wondering how much sugar is acceptable. Well, this is like asking how many cigarettes are acceptable. What about dessert? They are sure to be eliminated from your diet. Here is how you can have a satisfying end to a meal: fresh seasonal fruits, dark chocolate with more than 70% cacao, and nuts. This doesn't mean that you can't indulge in sugar ever. Food has always played a major role in celebrations, birthdays, weddings, etc. The point to remember here is occasional. Dessert is not to be taken every day, and whenever you are consuming desserts, always be mindful of the quantity. What about snacks? What to eat at snack time? Nothing. Don't eat snacks. Simplify your life. How about breakfast? Make breakfast optional. Breakfast is, without question, the most controversial meal of the day. The greatest problem is that, like snacks, breakfast foods often contain vast quantities of highly processed carbohydrates and sugar. Don't eat sugared breakfast cereal. While rolled oats and dried fruit and granola bars attempt to disguise themselves as healthy, they are often heavily sugared. The point is, if you're not hungry, don't eat anything at all. It's perfectly okay to skip breakfast. Beverages. Only consume no sugar added drinks. The best drink is plain or sparkling water. Tea or coffee is great as well. How about alcohol? Moderate consumption of red wine does not raise insulin and therefore may be enjoyed. Up to 2 glasses are fine. Step 2. Reduce consumption of refined grains. Refined grains such as white flour increases insulin more than any other food. White flour must be eliminated from your diet because all its nutrients get destroyed while processing, and later artificial nutrients are added to do its marketing. Step 3. Moderate your protein consumption. Moderate the amount of protein in your diet to fall within 20 to 30% of your total calories. Meal replacement shakes, bars, or protein powders are highly processed, fake foods. These products don't produce lasting weight loss, and they're designed to keep you coming back for more. Step 4. Increase consumption of natural fats. In choosing fats, aim for a higher proportion of natural fats. Natural, unprocessed fats include olive oil, butter, coconut oil, and beef fat. Nuts have high fat content and significant health benefits, walnuts in particular. Step 5. Increase your consumption of protective factors. Fiber can reduce the insulin-stimulating effect of carbohydrates, making it one of the main protective factors against weight gain. Fruits, berries, vegetables, whole grains, chia seeds, beans, popcorn, nuts, oatmeal, and pumpkin seeds are good sources of fiber. Thanks for watching, and I hope it was a useful video.
All right, that's a little different kind of thing for us here, but could be useful. The prompt interestingly asks, is this pseudo science or science? I could say, all science is pseudo until it's proven true, right? Confidence fell off. Confidence, I didn't realize you fell off. I was trying to get you back in. If you're interested in coming back on, just click the link and join us. What I saw in the video is standard fare for, doctors or health educators to kind of tell you. So I'm not sure where's the pseudoscience, but let me hear it from you guys in the chat, or let me hear it from you guys on the panel. Let's start with a guy who I know is health conscious. Let's start with D-Web.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty standard fare, like you said. It's there was some issues I had in the beginning, but she kind of cleared it up. But yeah, I would say she started off with the whole sugar. It was a little weird to start off a little weird because it was almost like she was blaming the insulin, which insulin is just trying to regulate your sugar intake. We all know that half the products you take contain this thing called high fructose corn syrup, which is like the equivalent of cutting heroin with crack. It's like triple concentrated sugar, right? Even if it's only a tiny amount of high fructose corn syrup, the way that your body processes that could cause these spikes that she mentioned about in your insulin. And then she went on to talk about, she had left out the part about the carbs, what she went on to talk about earlier. If you look at the standard American diet or the original food pyramid that they try to push us on, those of us who grew up in 80s, 90s, and this food pyramid, in the bottom you got all these breads and and it's just actually terrible, particularly if you're black, with our genetics, those are African, those are terrible. That is a terrible diet to follow. But she cleared it up later on. She didn't hit on the MSG, which I thought she was going to hit on. At least I don't recall her hitting on that. This is a lot of the causes of the childhood obesity that we're seeing these days. They repackage it just like they repackage high fructose corn syrup. I think they changed the name of it to something else. Aspartame, they're changing the name of that. If people don't know about aspartame, which is a carcinogen, and things like that. So MSG is probably like the greatest. And I had previously put some on one of my social medias about a podcast that kind of explains why we have so much childhood obesity these days, and then 90% of that's just MSG. She went on to kind of talk about the hormonal imbalance. Actually a higher testosterone could lead to a lower. So it's like she was kind of trying to explain it, but she was trying to keep it simple. I understand that it's like a TikTok or whatever the fuck platform this is, so she was trying to keep it simple. But it's a lot of nuance in some of the things she was saying, but I'm not gonna get too much into that. you know, she did say some good things. The white flour. I don't agree with the high protein diet leading to, you know, obesity and health problems. You actually can lose a lot of weight with high protein diet and things of that nature, or even high fat diet. I think the biggest takeaway is that yes, some of these things are very good practice, but also genetics plays a factor. Where your ancestors come from play a big factor as well into the foods and the consumption that will help you out, you know. So that's one thing I will say as a caveat. Not everything is for everybody. Depending on where your ancestors come from, you may have to tune things to you know, a lot of black people, I know they like push a lot of things with like fruits. They say like, oh, fruit has a lot of high sugar content, but depending on where your ancestors come from, it may be a bigger thing to incorporate fruit into your diet that may lead to a healthier outcome from you. So it's a lot of nuance in there, but I think just from a you know, from a low level, just, you know, start to think about what you consume level, it's a pretty good video. I don't see no pseudoscience. At least I didn't see no pseudoscience. I seen some things that was kind of iffy, but she cleared that up at the end. So that's all I got.
No, I appreciate that. I take what you say on that with high regard. Yeah, I don't see the pseudo. I'm trying to figure out what's the pseudoscience, but something Webb said just now I think is super important. And this is what Sebi was pushing, but the way our people are, we reject those kinds of things until a white person says it for the most part. But you know, he talks about that biomineral, that African diet, and I think that's something we should consider, man. I think, you know, just this notion. I remember Buana had brought a prompt one time with a brother. I want to say the brother's from Grenada, a Rasta brother who was talking about diets and stuff too. And, you know, that brother was talking about like we are African people and there's a particular diet that suits us. Certain things that we're eating, you know, like bread and starch and all that, you know, those types of starches, whereas we didn't really mess with that stuff. You know, we had our fufu and stuff like that and mostly ate vegetables with small amounts of meat and all that kind of thing. So what Webb said there, especially at the end, where you got to look at your ancestry, you know, and you got to eat based on who you are too. And what I find this is the last thing I'll say before I move to Buana. What I find so interesting, and I remember Sebi talking about it on the Rock Newman show. What I find so interesting is all these movements and quasi movements and this, that, and the other. No one talks about you have to eat to live and live to fight. And you got to eat in the manner that your genetics is accustomed to. You know, Anthony McPhail in the chat said it also. I was just going to get to him. Laila Africa touched on that stuff that Sebi was touching on now too. And was interesting after Laila Africa's passing, he now, I guess some of his family members now has a business model pretty much just like Sebi's model. So I would suggest people really look into what Sebi was talking about, chew on it, pun intended, and you know, make some changes in your diet. But as far as pseudo, I can't really see the pseudoscience in this. But Buana, what are your thoughts?
No, I don't see the it's not bad science. It's not bad science what she talked about. She talked about fasting. You know, I think that fasting, you need to tell people when they need to fast, the times between when they need to eat and not eat. Because a lot of this thing is really, I see a lot of intermittent fasting in some of the things she was discussing. I wish they had like one of these kinds of prompts for Black people in terms of that what their diets are currently and what they need to do or to switch to improve their lifestyle choices and make, because many of us are very sick based on our lifestyle and food choices. We are very sick. And I think that our illnesses sometimes come from the fact that we don't know, one. And number two is many of us are addicted to whether it's sugar, salt, flour, dairy, and all these other kinds of things where they injected in all kind of chemicals and a lot of us are addicts without really realizing and knowing it. And I think to wean addicts off of certain things, you must have a program and a plan. And also too, a lot of us we have poor discipline. I just gotta put it like it is, man. We have bad discipline. You know what I mean? We rather eat the food, the $1 hamburger, rather than going and eating some vegetables, lettuce, whatever you have, and cooking a nice piece of meat. You know, it's easier. It's easier, and wow, how we've been fooled is that that $1 hamburger tastes better because the chemicals inside that hamburger is causing us the dopamine in our brain to be released. So we keep on going back to that because there's so much chemicals in the food. These fast foods we eating. Fast food never says kill you fast. They just say fast food. You know what I mean? But I could appreciate a lot of things she said in this in terms of the insulin choices and snacking. How in the older days the insulin used to go up at three times: lunch, dinner, and breakfast. But with the introduction of snacking, then you have this constant insulin increase throughout the day, including with the breakfast, lunch, and dinner in between meals. So the insulin is always going up, always going up, always going up. And we don't necessarily see how that's having a dramatic effect on our bodies, but it actually is. I think that we talk about financial literacy, we talk about all manner of different kinds of literacy, but food literacy is something in which we lack, and we need to really inform ourselves, not all at once, but slowly, either on a weekly basis, trying to improve us in our understanding in terms of the food we eat and how it's affecting us and our children. So we have a lot of food illiteracy within our communities, and it's with videos like this and videos that is educating our communities more and more in terms of what we eat and our food choices would help better prepare us in terms of how we go out there and function as citizens, as human beings, or how whatever you want to describe us as. I think that we lack a whole lot of food literacy. And Dr. Layla Africa and Dr. Sebi is two people out of the millions of us who's really been trying to inform us. But the work is to be done with the individual themselves. We have agency, and we need to go out there and try to help inform ourselves about food literacy. We do it in terms of money. We do it in terms of our car. We do it in terms of the woman we trying to get. You know what I mean? We try to figure out all kinds of amount of different things. We'll try to figure out what we putting inside your body on a daily basis and how it's affecting you and how you could change that and better improve yourself. Because if you look within our community, many of us are very functionally sick. You see 50, 40, 30-year-olds walking around hunched over and shit. And that shouldn't be the case, but I'll leave it there though. I'll leave it there because I'm rambling. I'll leave it there.
I remember a video when Dick Gregory was still alive. He was on some panel, and the rapper Killer Mike was there. He went to go stand up. Killer Mike is a big dude. He went to go stand up, and people had to kind of help him to get up out of this particular seat, this chair he was sitting in. And Dick Gregory was looking at it like, but that's a young man. Like, what's going on? Like, it was real strange. But yeah, there's work to be done for certain. Let's welcome in our boy, Real Black Gentleman, RBG. How are you this week?
I'm doing good. Yeah, like at the beginning of the show, like my screen was just like, I tried to reload it. It was like waiting for a bit of medicine. Like I was like, what's going on? And I like reload it, after I say something, then it wants to act right. But it's good now.
All right.
As far as this, I mean, it's science. I mean, I don't think there's anything shady about it. It's just common sense. It's just like, I think again, the biggest thing about losing weight is the not eating, and it's all about what I'm saying. You don't eat when you're not hungry. You don't have to eat 3 meals a day. You don't even have to eat, the 3 meals every other day. The snacking. And now the thing is with the snacks is that you want to be able to like nibble on like nutritious stuff. You want to nibble on little little fruit and little vegetables and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying look, I'm not the best snacker. I'm not gonna lie. But as far as like not eating when you're not hungry, like that's something I'm like learning. You know what I'm saying? Just to be mindful of, and not to fall into a pattern of eating at certain times and eating just to like as like a reward mechanism for your mind. You know what I'm saying? You done did something, so I'm gonna eat something sweet because I'm at this place. You know what I'm saying? That's the patterns that people have to break. And I just think that insulin. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta, if you don't eat, you know what I'm saying. Oh yeah, what you popped on the screen, but yeah, what's his name? Harsh Rowley had said how they trying to change MSG. Now I haven't heard anything like that, but what I do know is that they try to play this umami taste, and that's supposed to mean like savory, right? You feel me? So like what it is that they'll try to say it's not, they're not mentioning MSG, they're just bigging up the umami taste. Now I was hearing some shit we're talking about, they have a sixth sense, and it's just how, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's how you introduce the salt and the extras into, you know what I'm saying, this whole, you know what I'm saying, they make up tastes for them to add it into, you know what I'm saying, good vegetables, you know what I'm saying? I mean, just don't eat when you're not hungry. I mean, I had, you know what I'm saying, a couple burgers earlier today. I haven't eaten anything since then. Oh, no, I'm not gonna lie, I had, you know what I'm saying, I snacked on some cheese curls, but that was it. You know what I'm saying? I haven't eaten, and I didn't eat breakfast. I think when I ate, it was like, maybe like 11 o'clock, and it's 8 o'clock now. And that's the only thing I've eaten all day. If you don't eat when you're not hungry, I mean, this is probably the best advice. I mean, as far as like, you know what I'm saying, like, drinks, I mean, water is best. That is, one way people might gain weight, because, you know what I'm saying, they might eat good, but then they'll fill up on pop and stuff. So like, it's ways about it. Everyone's different. Everyone knows their own, but obesity is obesity. You don't want to have too much weight. It is actually not good for the actual body. I mean, I would say less weight is always better than being obese. Naturally, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go on the extreme and say let's be anorexic. There is a natural, tone to the body that, people can recognize, and, you know what I'm saying, that's not up for dispute. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there are variations to that. If you can afford to eat, I mean, if we were dinosaurs and we just eat it as much as we want, but we're not dinosaurs. It's like we live in this world where it's like, sometimes food don't show up, and, you know what I'm saying, it's best to not have this, just best to have control over your appetite. And, don't eat cheap food. I mean, if you know what I'm saying, like, but never, I will say, so, like, as far as like, huh?
Let me stop you for a second, just for a second. Yeah. So you say earlier today you had a few hamburgers, right?
Yeah, man. I noticed that too.
No. So the hamburgers you eat, right?
Yeah.
All right. So now you had the white bread, right? The white bread don't have no nutritional value. No nutrition in it, right?
No.
You had the hamburger with it's cooked already, so it don't have no enzymes and nothing like that inside of it. I don't know if you had like lettuce and tomatoes.
Yeah, those vegetables on it.
Okay, so that's what you had today to eat. Today you had one tomato, you had a few lettuce and a few tomatoes because they have nutritional value. That's really all would register in your body, because all the other things you had to eat, the reason why you're still snacking is the body saying, where are the nutrients? Where are the nutrients? You are starving me. I have not yet eaten for the day. You are starving my body, because the body require nutrients, and you serving it dead food. The food don't have no nutritional value. So that's why you keep on snacking, because the body keep on asking, where are the nutrients? Give me more nutrients. I only had 2 lettuce, off of the hamburger. I had 2 lettuce and 2 tomatoes, which had a little bit of nutrients in it, but I am still starving. You are starving my body. Please give me more. and you keep on serving it. No, I'm telling you. So you keep on giving it dead food, right? That's just the reason the body keep on asking you, give me more nutrients, and this is the reason why you keep on snacking. So you keep on putting more dead food will have no nutritional value inside your body, and that's why you keep on snacking over and over. If you feed your body, try this for a minute. If you feed your body a bowl of salad, would have maybe spinach, maybe lettuce, maybe green peppers. I bet you, and when you have drinking water, don't drink water. Drink like mineral water or coconut water. I bet you your snacking will stop, because at least you answering the body and say, here's the nutrition for your body for the day. That's what you do. You keep on doing that. You feeding yourself, and the body keep on begging you for, please give me nutrients, RBG. You're starving me. You ain't giving me none.
Hey,
giving me dead food.
I eat vegetable cups like 3 or 4 times a day, and usually that'll be enough to take me, you know what I'm saying, most of the day. Like I do eat vegetables, you know what I'm saying? I eat fruit, you know what I'm saying, raw fruit, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I do intake, you know what I'm saying, raw vegetables and raw fruit. I do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit here and say that, like, but what I also do is like try not to eat too much. Like I'm not snacking all. I haven't, like, when I say I had some snacks, like I had a couple of you know what I'm saying, maybe how would I describe it as, maybe about 2-ounce bag of cheese puffs. So like after that, I haven't, and that was probably like maybe 3. So when I was saying I was snacking all day, I mean that was not, haven't been snacking all day. I mean, but I mean, the point I guess I'm trying to make is that, you know, I would concur that, you know what I'm saying, it's sensible. I think, you know what I'm saying, you know, African people have, you know, fasting periods. You might say some of that's like Islamic, but you know, black people just have their times where they don't eat, and then you have your feast. You know what I'm saying? It's like I just think that it's common sense. You don't need to eat when you're not hungry. And the best way to not be hungry is to just be active. I think people say, I mean, the idea that like you need to eat food in order to do something is part of the problem. Like food isn't like fuel. It's not like you need to gas up your body. It doesn't really work like that. Like you already have that. You know what I'm saying? You done rested up. That's kind of your fuel. Like going to sleep is like the fuel. And then when you wake up, you're ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Like as long as you have any kind of like, you know what I'm saying, just residual, like, you know what I'm saying? Just like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times if you eat at night, you shouldn't be hungry in the morning. It's just things like that. For me, it's like you're nibble on, you know what I'm saying? There's a couple little carrots, you know what I'm saying? You put some in your belly. I mean, it doesn't take much. I eat a lot.
It depends on your activity level, bro. It depends on your activity. If you're going like, I used to work a job where I used to like literally dig holes all day, right? So in that case, it may help to eat a little something in the morning. You don't need to eat like, but if you're like going to sit in the office for like 8 to 12 hours a day, you don't need a huge breakfast to get along. But if you're like going old school farming, doing some physical activity during the day, so greatly physical exertion as far as your job, whatever. That's why I say it's not a one size fits all thing. It's nuance in there. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to sit in a office or work from home, sitting in front of a screen, your diet should be way different than somebody who's like farming all day. You know what I'm saying? That's all I add to that, man.
I'll also add too, I don't want folks to overlook this thing, but we gotta be real about the media that we consume too, because a lot of things that we watch, food is constantly being pushed. Coca-Cola, McDonald's, all that kind of stuff, constantly being pushed. You might not act today on that McDonald's thought. It might happen tomorrow. You just have a hankering for it. So the psychology behind food is important, as well as we have to also understand something too. You know, this sugar thing, even the salt thing, you know, but sugar more than salt. This stuff is a drug, man. This stuff is a hard habit to kick because it's related to food, it's related to eating and nutrition. and all that stuff is different than a crack pipe. A crack pipe, you got to put that to your lips. But this food thing, you will put it to your lips because that's what food is. And I think that's the thing that we don't focus in on. They propagandize our diets too. Buana or RBG, anyone else want to add anything here?
Yes, sugar and trans fats kill way more people than crack and cocaine ever have every year. Every year. Right, that's a fact. I'm sorry.
That is a fact. Trans fat is some of the worst stuff. Trans fat is one molecule away from plastic. Yeah, partially hydrogenated oil is one molecule away from plastic. Don't eat it. If you read the ingredients, don't eat it.
Speaking of that, there was a study recently that found that most human beings today have microplastics in their bloodstream, man. So, the way this white boy designed this reality is something else. It goes back to that thing I talked about at the end of last show, that 2 + 2 don't always equal 4. In their reality, man, what they put value on is some sick stuff, man. They will put 10,000 times the amount of salt anybody's supposed to intake in a day. Then they'll come back and say, "Oh, well, our brand decided we're gonna cut the salt by 50%," but it's still 5,000 times now what it's supposed to be, and that's the reality we live under. And because of it, we suffer. Because we're not creating the alternative outlook, the alternative view. And a lot of us aren't looking for it either. It's a sad merry-go-round that we're on when it comes to this stuff. In the chat, Trigger Happy 262 said, "I think we as Africans need to do is really access a lot of our cuisine." I think it means assess a lot of our cuisine. People don't realize that even on the continent, some of the cuisine is because of colonialism, right? He says, "This is why I also say speaking our language is important. A deep understanding of your language gets into names of crops and herbs that we may have missed. You lose that speaking colonizer language." He says the best case for colonialism affecting our diet is soul food and food in Kenya. Not all of it. I don't know all of their cuisine, he says. He says soul food has a lot of veggies. When it comes to food in Kenya, the British put people in ghettos and they would have to work for their living. They would give them like maize as an exchange, and that's where the problem came. Shout out to Sister Raw, who joined us in the chat. Shout out to all of you who are here tonight. Before I move on to topic number 4, Buana, what was the name of that brother from Grenada, the Rasta fellow who was in Nassau?
Oh man, I can't remember. I'll get back. I'll put it on the comment section after the show. I can't remember it right now, bro.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, if there's no other last words here, let's go to shoot the breeze.
His name is Priest Kalish.
Prince Kalish.
Priest Kalish. Yeah,
that's it. Shoot the breeze topic number. Oh yeah, Zuliism is out there. He said cassava and all these starch are not part of our diet. I meant to say that earlier. Like, I was astonished years ago when I learned cassava is not an African thing. I would have sworn up until maybe 10 years ago, I would have sworn up and down, because we like cassava in the Caribbean. I would have sworn up and down that was an African thing. And come to find out, that's a Portuguese thing.
I need some more information on that, Coco. I need you to qualify that. You Honor Zuli, I need you to qualify that, because I think that I used to see that they grow in like cassava in Africa. So I want you all to qualify that.
Yeah, they grow it there. They grow it there, but it was a part of the program. It came from the Portuguese, and it was a part of the program to build stronger Negroes. Right? They had a diet plan for for us to make us stronger and this, that, and the other. Like they these people are dastardly. I'll find the citation. I'll share it with you later. But that's what they did.
Hey, can I add something? Yeah, cassava. That's not it's kind of like apples and the apple seeds. There's arsenic in the apple seeds. There's like a poisonous chemical in cassava if you eat it raw. To the best of my knowledge, it has to be soaked. Kind of like you would soak like a sweet potato or like a regular potato. You would soak it, but the reason that you soak it and you probably have to change the water is that bitterness is like actually poisonous if you actually like eat a lot of it. It's like that's not what we was eating. If anything, it was probably like a survival kind of thing where it's like, you know, people found something and they experimented with it and it's like they ate it, but it's probably like there's probably issues in eating it that, you know, over that people haven't recognized, you know, probably all kinds of neurotoxins and stuff. These are things, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, neurotoxins, like, whoa, like, why aren't people thinking straight? Like, whoa, like type stuff. So it's like, yeah, a lot of these foods that we may think is indigenous really aren't. I mean, I've read, that was something I read, like cassava really is not an indigenous African food. I don't know why, and that's just my best guess is, you know, some kind of like survivalist reflex. They had to dig something up type shit. I don't know.
Yeah, if you look at European farming practices today, even they feed hogs and stuff a bunch of things like yams and potato and things like they'll grow that stuff just to feed it to their hogs and stuff. You could look that up.
Why I gotta be a crackhead? Anyways, I always thought that the yams and cassava, but I see them cocoa. I see these things growing in deepest parts of Africa. Where would they have gotten these things from? You say they get them for the Portuguese? This new news for me. This new information for me. Maybe I need to do some research on it, but I never heard about it before. You know, I thought it was something that we always ate, you know, in Africa. But needless to say, you know, I'll do some of my research on it.
Yeah. Trigger Happy 262 says he's going to do some research too. He says because we have to remember we traded for it too, so clearly our ancestors ate it with agency, but how do they manage it is the question. Erzuli's in the chat. Hop on the thing, man, Erzuli, because we were talking about the Lacour system in Haiti. It would have been nice to have had, you know, someone. It would have been nice to have someone from there who might be, you know, a little bit more grounded in it. Daily Affirmations by Pauline says, I just read it was introduced to Africa by the Portuguese. So let's go to Shoot the Resolver number 4 tonight.